You're walking into the same grocery store every week. Same habits. Same cart. Same products. And somewhere in that routine, roughly $1,500 is silently leaving your account every single year. Not through emergencies. Not through accidents. Through design. The grocery industry doesn't just sell you food. It sells you convenience, health, value packaging designed to feel like the right choice. That packaging is the entire business model. Here are 13 items where the trap is most expensive. Number 13, bagged salad kits, the 300% markup nobody questions. You see it in every cart. A sealed plastic container with pre-shredded lettuce, a tiny dressing packet, a handful of croutons. It looks convenient. It looks healthy. It looks smart. The math says otherwise. A bagged salad kit costs $5 to $7. Inside, one small head of lettuce, a tablespoon of dressing, a few grams of toppings. Buy those components separately and you're spending under $2. The markup exceeds 250% compared to building the same salad from whole ingredients. But price tells only half the story. The moment lettuce is shredded, it begins dying. The cutting accelerates oxidation, breaking down vitamin C and micronutrients faster than whole leaves would lose them. A bag sitting in the produce section for days is nutritionally inferior to what you could have in your fridge within hours. The dressing packets compound the problem. High sodium. Added sugars. Stabilizers designed to extend shelf life, not improve flavor. Olive oil and lemon from your kitchen costs pennies and contains none of those additives. Here's the question most people never ask: why are you paying premium prices for food that's actively getting worse while you're deciding whether to buy it? Buy a whole head of romaine. Wash it once. Store it wrapped in a dry towel. It stays crisp for the better part of a week. The savings are immediate. The quality is noticeably better. This isn't a difficult decision once you stop treating convenience as a separate product category. Number 12, flavored instant oatmeal packets, the dessert disguised as breakfast. A box of 10 flavored oatmeal packets costs $4 to $5. Each packet contains roughly 1.5 ounces of oats. A 42-ounce container of plain rolled oats from the same store costs $4 to $5 and provides 25 to 30 servings. You're paying 2 to 3 times more per serving for the convenience of a packet. The nutritional trade-off is worse than the price. Flavored instant packets contain 10 to 15 grams of added sugar per serving. The American Heart Association recommends no more than 25 grams of added sugar per day for women and 36 grams for men. A single breakfast packet delivers nearly half of that before the day has started. Plain rolled oats contain 0 added sugar. They cook in 5 minutes on a stovetop. Or overnight in a jar with cold water. Add your own fruit, honey, or cinnamon. You control exactly what enters your bowl. The marketing is elegant. The packet is sold as a healthy, convenient breakfast. On the sugar numbers, it's closer to a dessert. What makes this particularly frustrating is the illusion of health. You're buying what feels like a responsible choice while consuming nearly the full daily sugar limit before 8 a.m. The fix takes 2 minutes of decision making. Buy plain oats. Add toppings. Save money and significantly reduce added sugar. That's the entire solution. Number 11, individual yogurt cups, 4 times the price for identical product. Greek yogurt in single-serve cups costs $14 to $17 per pound. The same brand, same product, same ingredients in a large tub, $4 to $5 per pound. Up to 4 times more money for food that is chemically and nutritionally identical. The flavor is the same. The protein is the same. The ingredient list is identical. The only variable is the size of the container. Most people never consider another detail: large containers move faster on shelves, meaning they tend to be newer. The individual cup in its multi-pack has often been sitting there longer. So you're paying 4 times more for a product that may actually be older, wrapped in 5 to 6 times more plastic per serving. A household where one person eats a yogurt cup daily spends $250 to $350 more per year than someone buying the equivalent in bulk. Over a decade, that's $2,500 to $3,500 on a single habit. The fix is genuinely simple. One $6 purchase, small reusable containers. Portion the yogurt when you arrive home. Done. That's the entire solution. Why don't people do this? Because the individual cup removes a single cognitive step. You don't have to portion. You don't have to think. The container has already made the decision for you. And that removal of cognitive load is worth thousands of dollars annually to most households. Number 10, single-serve snack packs, 5 times more per ounce. A multi-pack of individually portioned crackers costs $7 to $9 for 8 to 10 ounces. The family-size bag of identical crackers, same brand, same recipe, $4 to $5 for 28 to 30 ounces. On a per-ounce basis, the single-serve version costs 5 to 6 times more. The assumption might be that there's a trade-off somewhere. A flavor difference. A premium ingredient. There isn't. The food is identical. What you're paying for is subdivision. The fact that someone portioned it into smaller bags before it reached you. The global snack food market sits at roughly $700 billion annually. Single-serve packaging is one of the primary engines of growth. Not because it adds value. Because it commands a premium that most consumers never stop to calculate. Households relying on single-serve packaging spend an estimated $600 to $900 more per year than those buying the same products in bulk. Over a decade, that becomes genuinely significant money. We're talking about tens of thousands of dollars spent on packaging instead of food. The practical fix takes 4 minutes. Buy the large bag. Pick up a set of small reusable containers. Portion it at home. Done. But here's what's actually happening psychologically: the individual packet has already made the decision for you. You're not portioning food, you're consuming a portion that's been engineered to feel correct. And that engineered correctness is worth thousands annually. Number 9, pre-cut fruits and vegetables, 83% price increase for knife work. A whole pineapple costs $2.99. That same pineapple already peeled, cored, and sliced in a plastic container, $5.49. An 83% price increase for roughly 4 minutes of knife work. Industry data consistently shows pre-cut produce carries an average markup of 40% or more. Across a full year, a household regularly buying pre-cut pays several $100s extra for labor that costs the store almost nothing per container. But financial overcharge is only part of the problem. The real issue is nutritional degradation. The moment produce is cut, its nutritional value begins declining. Exposure to air and light degrades vitamins, particularly vitamin C and certain B vitamins. Pre-cut produce dries out faster, loses texture sooner, and spoils well before the whole version would. You're paying more for food that's measurably inferior. 2 practical alternatives exist. First, 20 minutes of batch prep once or twice weekly handles most pre-cut purchases. Second, and this is overlooked, the frozen aisle. Frozen fruits and vegetables are harvested at peak ripeness and flash frozen immediately, locking in vitamins and texture. They cost 40 to 60% less than pre-cut fresh and last months. The grocery industry doesn't promote frozen because it's one of their lowest margin categories. You're being steered away from the most economical, nutritionally superior option because it's less profitable. Number 8, name brand spices, 700% price difference for identical product. A major brand jar of smoked paprika at a conventional grocery store, $3.79 for 2.5 ounces. The same quantity at a Middle Eastern or Indian market, often under 50 cents. A price difference approaching 700%. For the same spice. Name brand spices consistently carry markups of 100% or more compared to what's available elsewhere. But pricing isn't even the most significant problem. Those attractively designed bottles have typically been sitting in a supply chain for 6 months to 2 years before reaching your cart. Spices lose volatile aromatic compounds over time. By the time you use them, you're working with a significantly weaker version of what the label promises. The paprika that should be vibrant and smoky tastes like mildly colored powder. Not because it was ever bad. Because it sat too long. Ethnic specialty grocers turn their spice inventory over in weeks rather than months. Fresher product. Bulk quantities. Dramatically lower prices. Buy whole spices where possible, they retain potency far longer than pre-ground. Store them in airtight glass containers. That $3.79 spent at the right store doesn't buy one small jar of oregano. It buys enough to last the better part of a year. The difference between buying from a conventional chain and an ethnic market isn't just price. It's the difference between using spices that have lost most of their flavor and using spices that still have it. Number 7. Specialty diet labeled foods, marketing, not nutrition. A jar of keto-labeled peanut butter costs approximately $11 for 16 ounces. Ingredients: peanuts, salt. Conventional natural peanut butter from the same store, same ingredients, same macronutrient profile, $3.79 for the same size. The word keto-friendly added $7.20 to the price. It changed nothing about the food inside the jar. The same pattern holds throughout the specialty diet section. Paleo-approved crackers. Whole30 compliant marinara. Every one of these descriptions applies equally to conventional products already on the shelf, products that carry neither the label nor the price premium. Diet frameworks like keto and paleo aren't product lines. They're sets of nutritional criteria. Whole Foods have always met those criteria without requiring branded packaging. The specialty diet food market grew over 40% in just 2 years. Not because labeled products are nutritionally superior. Because consumers committed to a specific eating framework tend to be motivated, slightly anxious about compliance, and more likely to pay for packaging that signals approval. Identify the underlying principle of your eating framework, then source conventional whole foods that already meet it. Eggs are keto. Plain chicken breast is paleo. Canned tomatoes with no additives are Whole30 compliant. None of it requires a premium label. Read the ingredient list. Ignore the front of the package. The gap between the two versions is almost always marketing, not food. Number 6. Superfood products, a term that means absolutely nothing. The FDA has never defined, recognized, or approved the term superfood. It is not a regulatory category. It carries no standard of evidence. Any manufacturer can print it on a label and charge a premium. Thousands do. Over the past 4 years, use of superfood in consumer food marketing increased by over 300%. That acceleration has nothing to do with new scientific discoveries. It has everything to do with the fact that the label justifies a price consumers would otherwise refuse. Goji berries retail for $12 to $14 for an 8-ounce bag at major U.S. stores. Over $24 per pound. Cultivated blueberries, backed by extensive antioxidant research, sell for $3 to $5 per pound. Blackberries, raspberries, and frozen mixed berries sit in the same range. Goji berries are perfectly good food with genuine nutritional value. But in China, where they've been eaten for centuries, they're an ordinary, inexpensive market staple. The superfood designation that multiplies their price when repackaged for Western shelves is not science. It's branding. The foods with the most robust long-term research behind them are the least exotic items in the produce section. Dark leafy greens. Berries. Legumes. Cruciferous vegetables. Whole grains. They don't need a label. They've been sustaining human health for thousands of years. Number 5. Organic everything, understanding where it actually matters. Most people buying organic are doing it for a legitimate reason, reducing pesticide exposure. That instinct is backed by real data, which is exactly what makes the full picture worth understanding. The Environmental Working Group's annual pesticide analysis found that approximately 95% of their most recently sampled produce contained detectable pesticide residues. Strawberries have tested for as many as 23 separate residues even after washing. That's a genuine concern. But the same report found something that receives far less attention. Nearly 65% of the clean 15 items like avocados, sweet corn, and pineapple showed no detectable pesticide residue at all. For those products, organic certification provides no measurable benefit. You're paying a premium for a label that changes nothing about what's actually on your plate. The organic food market is now a $52 billion industry. That label adds about 20% to the cost of an item, and considerably more in some categories. Here's the detail worth knowing: 4 of the 5 most commonly detected residues on high-risk produce are fungicides applied after harvest. Not to help the plant grow, but to extend shelf appearance. These compounds are under ongoing study for potential reproductive effects. Buy organic for the dirty dozen: strawberries, spinach, kale, peaches, pears. Buy conventional for the clean 15. Applied consistently, this single approach reduces organic spending by 40 to 50% without meaningfully increasing pesticide exposure. Number 4, pre-marinated meat, the sodium trap hiding behind flavor. In any grocery store meat section, you'll find 2 versions of the same cut a few feet apart. Plain chicken thighs, $4.49 per pound. Honey chipotle chicken thighs in a sealed marinade tray, $7.29 per pound. A 62% price increase for roughly 30 to 50 cents worth of sauce applied to identical chicken. That's the financial picture. Behind it sits a second issue: grocery stores have very little incentive to raise sodium content. Many commercially marinated chicken products contain 700 to 900 milligrams of sodium per serving. The American Heart Association's recommended daily ceiling is 2,300 milligrams. A single serving of some pre-marinated products delivers more than a third of that limit before any other food has been consumed. The sodium isn't incidental. It's a cheap preservative that extends shelf life, enhances flavor, and triggers craving responses. From a profit standpoint, it functions almost perfectly as an ingredient. But there's something deeper. Commercial marinades add not just flavor but color-enhancing compounds, preservatives, modified starches, and flavor additives specifically chosen to make meat look and smell more appealing than it might otherwise. A former grocery store meat department manager was direct: pre-marinated products are frequently used to move cuts approaching their sell-by date. Heavy seasoning, high salt content, and color-enhancing additives effectively mask the subtle changes in smell and appearance that would otherwise signal age to a customer. That glossy, vibrant presentation is partly seasoning. But it's also partly concealment. When you make a marinade yourself, you know exactly what went into it. A homemade marinade takes under 5 minutes. Olive oil, garlic, and acid. Whatever herbs you have available. The result costs a fraction of the marked up version, contains a fraction of the sodium, and tastes better because the ingredients are fresh. Number 3, energy drinks and specialty coffee, the $1,500 annual habit. This one is different from everything else on this list. Not because the markup is unusually high, though it is, but because it's not a weekly purchase. It's a daily habit. And daily habits accumulate into numbers that are genuinely uncomfortable to look at all at once. One energy drink from the grocery store, $3.29 to $4.50. One cold brew or specialty coffee on the way to work, $5 to $6. Buying both 3 or 4 times a week puts you at $100 to $130 per month on beverages before purchasing a single food item. Over a year, $1,200 to $1,500. Over 5 years, a meaningful portion of an emergency fund. Now add the health dimension. A standard energy drink contains 54 to 80 grams of sugar in a single can. That exceeds the American Heart Association's recommended daily limit for women and approaches double the limit for men in one drink. The $22 billion energy drink industry has repackaged this reality behind phrases like natural caffeine and clean energy. The biochemistry inside hasn't changed. The coffee markup tells a similar story. A 40-ounce container of quality ground coffee costs around $10 and produces roughly 100 cups, about 10 cents per cup at home, versus $5 or more at a cafe. A markup approaching 5,000%. Cold brew takes 4 minutes of actual effort. Coarse ground coffee, cold water, refrigerate overnight. A 32-ounce batch costs $1.50 to $2 to make. The same quantity in ready-to-drink bottles runs $15 to $25. The industry is counting on the fact that morning brain fog prevents most people from ever running these numbers. Once you do, the figures don't go away. You've just realized you've been spending $1,500 annually on beverages when the cost could be under $100. Number 2, fresh bakery items, the sense system you didn't know existed. You walk into a large grocery store and within seconds something shifts. There's warmth in the air, the smell of fresh bread, cinnamon, something baking. Before you've looked at a single product, you're already thinking about the bakery section. Here's what's actually happening. Many major grocery chains use scent diffusion systems that pump synthetic bakery aromas through the store's ventilation. Not as a byproduct of baking. As a deliberate engineered intervention designed to trigger hunger and emotional comfort at the exact moment you're most likely to make an unplanned purchase. Research from the Scent Marketing Institute found that artificially circulating the scent of fresh bread in a grocery store tripled bakery sales. Not increased. Tripled. That's one of the most effective forms of in-store advertising the retail industry has ever discovered. Most shoppers experience it dozens of times without ever knowing it's a system, not a smell. The profit margins reflect the investment. Individual muffins, croissants, and decorated cookies typically carry margins of 55 to 65%. A $4.50 muffin may represent a raw ingredient cost of under $1. You're paying for packaging, presentation, and a sensory experience engineered to reach you before your reasoning did. 2 rational alternatives exist. Most stores have a day-old bakery section where previous day's items are marked down 40 to 50%. The quality difference is negligible. And store-brand baking mixes deliver equivalent results for a fraction of the cost. A $2.29 box yields the same quantity as a $10 bakery tray. The smell feels like a natural craving. It isn't. Once you understand the mechanism, it doesn't land the same way. Number 1, bottled water, 4,000% markup and higher contamination than tap. This is where the numbers stop being surprising and become genuinely difficult to rationalize. A standard $2 bottle of water costs the manufacturer approximately 5 cents to produce. That's a markup of roughly 4,000%. In many cases, the water inside that bottle is municipally sourced, drawn from the same public supply system as your tap. You are paying 4,000% more for water that frequently originates from the same source as what flows freely from your kitchen faucet. But the financial argument is only part of the story. The second part is harder to set aside. A 2024 study from researchers at Columbia and Rutgers universities found that the average 1-liter bottle of commercially sold water contains approximately 240,000 microscopic plastic particles. A figure 10 to 100 times higher than earlier studies reported because scientists have only recently developed tools capable of detecting the smallest fragments, now called nanoplastics. These particles are being identified in human tissue, in lung samples, in breast milk, in placental tissue from unborn children. Here's the detail that makes the bottled water argument collapse entirely. Newer research indicates that bottled water frequently contains higher levels of microplastic contamination than regular tap water. The packaging itself is a source. You are spending 4,000% more for water that may be more contaminated than what you could pour for free at home. The fix costs less than a single month of bottled water purchases. A water filter certified by NSF International runs $25 to $60 and removes the vast majority of relevant contaminants. A reusable stainless steel bottle costs $15 to $30. The setup pays for itself within weeks and saves hundreds of dollars every year after that. This isn't a lifestyle upgrade. It's the most straightforward financial and health decision on this entire list. The system. Grocery stores are designed by professionals with one objective: maximize revenue per square foot. The layout, the lighting, the music tempo, the synthetic scent systems near the bakery, the placement of high-margin items at eye level, none of it is accidental. None of it exists for your benefit. But none of this requires a dramatic response. It just requires attention and a few consistent shifts in how you shop. Buy whole produce and prep it at home. Filter your tap water. Compare unit prices before reaching for the convenient version. Know which produce actually benefits from organic certification and which doesn't. Find your nearest ethnic grocery store for spices. Make your own marinades. Skip the flavored oatmeal packets and bagged salad kits. Read the ingredient list on the back of the package before you trust anything printed on the front. The $1,500 figure from the opening compounds across the full spending life of a household. Over a decade, recovering even half of it through consistent informed choices represents tens of thousands of dollars. Not from a single dramatic decision, but from small ones made in the produce aisle, the dairy section, and the snack food aisle week after week. Here's the question we're sitting with: if the bottled water you've been paying 4,000% more for turns out to contain more plastic contamination than tap water, what else in your grocery cart is quietly doing the opposite of what the label promises? The grocery industry is counting on you filing that question away and walking back into the same store tomorrow with the same habits. The people who don't do that are the ones who actually keep the money.